What so often holds us back from the things we so badly want to do? The demon of fear too often stifles us and is universal to the human condition. Above all, if left unchecked, it is often the source of great suffering. While our fear instinct may protect us from many objective dangers, too often the subjective interpretation and emotional weight we ascribe to potential failures, rejections, and uncertainties keeps us from achieving our deepest wants and desires and becoming all that we could and want to be. In his literary masterpiece, filled with age-old wisdom and acute insight into the human condition, J.R.R. Tolkien writes of Éowyn, who boldly chooses to face her fears head-on and defies the well-entrenched gender norms that would have otherwise have held her back. "What do you fear, lady?" Aragorn asked. "A cage," Éowyn said, "to stay behind bars until use and old age accept them and all chance of doing great deeds is gone beyond recall or desire." This fear of confinement, both literal and metaphorical, captures her fear of being denied the opportunity to realize her dormant abilities and aspirations, waiting to be ignited. Her words underscore the role of fear as a barrier to self-actualization and the pursuit of meaningful accomplishments. Yet, as Antoine de Saint-Exupéry reminds us, this is an arduous and hazardous road, yet one that offers a greater promise than the status quo. To become spring means accepting the risk of winter. The French aviator/writer succinctly points out that fear is a natural part of growth and change. Just as seasons oscillate in transitions, so does the human journey. Embracing fear as a part of this process is necessary for transformation and renewal. Clearly, the fear emotion presents us with a stark paradox, that between fear as a limiting force which can ironically also lead us to liberation. By confronting our deepest fears, we can break the chains that binds us and discover a profound sense of freedom. As a legendary singer-songwriter, Jim Morrison once counseled us, "Expose yourself to your deepest fear. After that, fear has no power, and the fear of freedom shrinks and vanishes." His words carry a profound existential undertone as it divulges how freedom is achieved through the acceptance and confrontation of the inherent anxieties of life. How then might we more wisely navigate our fears? By transforming them into opportunities for growth and a more fulfilling engagement with life, and live more courageously under the shadow cast by our fears. Our fears cannot be denied, but they can be understood. A deeper probe into what we are so afraid of fosters a comprehension that goes beyond the mere visceral response that we may experience whenever we run into discomfort. As the trailblazing scientific genius Marie Curie, who defied the male-dominant world of science in the early 20th century, once asserted, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less." Even the mundane challenges and anxieties we experience can often be traced back to deeper, more existential fears that we are only too keen to turn away from. For instance, our heart may tell us that we should look for another job, but our fear of change keeps us from resigning, as we fear the unknowns and the new routines in a different job that reflect a deeper dread of facing uncertainty and the loss of control. The all too familiar human proclivity to procrastination can similarly mirror deeper fears of inadequacy and not living up to one's potential. Facing our fears, therefore, should entail a deeper dive into what our surface fears tell us about our more fundamental, even existential anxieties. At the same time, the line between fear and desire is a razor-thin one, if at all. The human tendency to avoid what they fear rather than seeking to obtain what they desire is innate to most, if not all, human beings. Fear is a more potent motivator than desire. that results in avoidance behaviors that limit our personal growth and fulfillment. Our desire for success, for instance by writing that novel we have dreamt of for years, or finally starting that business we have envisaged for so long, does not exert the same gravitational pull as our fears of failure does in keeping us idle and maintaining our status quo. We might comfort ourselves that we should feel blessed with the lives that we currently enjoy, which we know too well is no more than a bland rationalization intended to soothe the nagging voice that compels us to live the life we actually desire and be all that we could be. In closing, rather than considering fear as a barrier to growth and fulfillment, we should celebrate its potential in also providing the gateway through which we may change our lives for the better, and imbuing it with a deeper sense of reward, pride, and fulfillment in the process. In his poem Fear, Khalil Gibran beautifully encapsulates the human journey of overcoming fear by likening it to a river that approaches the sea. The river's fear of losing itself in the vastness of the ocean symbolizes the human fear of the unknown and the loss of identity. Yet this fear is unfounded, as the river does not disappear but becomes part of something greater, the ocean. The smaller river, coalescing with the vast ocean, speaks to the transformative power of embracing fear, one that leads to a state of oneness and greater existence. It is said that before entering the sea, a river trembles with fear. She looks back at the path she has traveled, from the peaks of the mountains, the long winding road crossing forests and villages. And in front of her, she sees an ocean so vast that to enter, there seems nothing more than to disappear forever. But there is no other way. The river cannot go back. Nobody can go back. To go back is impossible in existence. The river needs to take the risk of entering the ocean, because only then will fear disappear, because that's where the river will know it's not about disappearing into the ocean, but of becoming the ocean.